This is Channel 9 Eyewitness News at 4. Coverage you can count on.
Right now at 4.
Heavy rain in South Florida, and it's moving to the north. I'm updating the latest on our soon-to-be tropical storm, the impacts hour by hour through tonight and the start of the weekend.
Plus, so far this year, there have been more than 230 mass shootings nationwide. The gun reform plan a Central Florida lawmaker presented within the last hour. And
it's not the right thing to do. Let them compete.
The state threatened a more than $27 million fine ahead of the local Special Olympics USA Games. The vaccination fight before this weekend's opening ceremony. And before we get to those big stories, we first want to update you on the tropical storm warnings for our southern counties. Good afternoon. I'm Greg Warmoth.
And I'm Martha Sagowski. Our team of meteorologists has been closely monitoring the system. Here's a look right now at how the system in the Gulf has transformed over the last 24 hours. There's still the potential of it strengthening into a tropical storm before moving across South Florida tomorrow. Eyewitness News certified chief meteorologist Tom Terry covering it all for you live in Severe Weather Center 9. Tom, there's already a lot of rain on that radar.
That's right. Yeah, it's mainly down south where we've been talking a lot about where we expected it would be. The system right now still not a full-fledged tropical storm yet, but I think we're getting closer. There's been a kind of a grouping, if you will, of clouds, big batch here on the west side of Cuba that looks like it may be where the center is trying to reform right now. But either way, the track still brings it across to our south. The highest impacts will be across South Florida overnight and during the first part of the day on Saturday. And early warning Doppler 9 radar already showing a large shield of mainly light rain. We've had a couple of downpours percolate up here to the north, but the rain from the system itself is still showing up across southern Polk, Osceola, Brevard County. That's where the rain will be pretty steady during the next several hours overnight tonight. So what I'm expecting here, the most rain will be overnight tonight, mainly south and just kind of working north along the coast during tomorrow morning. The highest impacts of any of this, especially if you're traveling, will be across South Florida, maybe southern Brevard County. We do have a tropical storm warning out for Osceola and for Brevard County, Polk as well, but I do think the highest impacts will be south of there. And breezy conditions for a lot of us tomorrow. It's going to feel kind of squally. You're going to feel like you're kind of in the midst of a tropical storm, especially along our east coast tomorrow. So we're going to be updating future track and timing out when these kind of batches of squally downpours move through as you plan the weekend, Martha.
And right now that track indicates folks in South Florida are going to see more of an impact from what's evolving in the tropics. People are getting ready, though, just in case. You can see homeowners there in Fort Lauderdale have been filling up the sandbags before storms could dump several inches of rain. And in Miami-Dade County, crews are gearing up and clearing up stored drains and grates so water can easily move into canals and prevent flooding, because that is a problem with these storms. One of the best ways you can know the forecast when you're not on air is through our WFTV weather app. It is free, so go download it from the Apple App Store or Google Play. Greg?
And Martha, we have some breaking news into us from Titusville, where civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump just spoke to the media. He talked about this week's arrest of Titusville police officer Joshua Payne. The officer is now charged in the deadly shooting of this man, James Lowry, one day after Christmas last year. Lowry's family was also at the news conference. They have long maintained that law enforcement had no reason to chase after Lowry in their search for a suspect. Channel 9's Melanie Holt will bring you a live report on Eyewitness News at 5.
Right now, Orlando police searching for a man accused of sexually battering a woman in a park. Take a good look at this composite sketch. Police released this just a few hours ago. They say that attack happened on May 20th at Signal Hill Park, not far from Rolling Hills Elementary. The victim says that man introduced himself as Marcus and lured her into a wooded area by taking her bike. That's where she was sexually battered. The suspect is described as being in his late teens or early 20s with a tattoo on his left shoulder.
Runners are taking this torch through Central Florida ahead of this weekend's Special Olympics USA Games. But today, Governor Ron DeSantis stepped to the mic announcing the state won a COVID-19 vaccination battle ahead of this big event. We first told you on Eyewitness News at noon when the governor said all athletes can now compete regardless of their vaccination status. Channel 9's Jeff Deal is live in Orlando. And Jeff, the governor says the state threatened a more than $27 million fine if this didn't happen.
Right, and the governor said that's because it's a violation of state law to require proof of vaccination status, and that's something that the state warned the Special Olympics about 6 months ago before the opening ceremonies were set to begin here this weekend. So now the Special Olympics has decided to allow unvaccinated athletes to compete.
Several local school districts likely will not face any punishment for enforcing mask mandates during the pandemic. Brevard, Orange, and Volusia County school districts were set to lose out on millions of dollars because of their mask requirements. But yesterday, Governor DeSantis sent the state education commissioner a letter saying the district's actions cannot be held against individual schools. Governor DeSantis also said teachers, quote, did an admirable job under unprecedented circumstances.
Many Americans are taking to the streets today for National Gun Violence Awareness Day. They're marching as funerals continue for the 21 victims of the Texas school shooting. President Joe Biden says Congress needs to act, but as ABC's Rena Roy explains, some states are taking action of their own. Well, Central Florida is helping the Uvalde community heal from last week's deadly massacre.
Yeah, the Lake County Sheriff's Office is sending now its therapy dog program to help out in the Texas city.
All we're looking to do is just help some people kind of work through this process. It is absolutely horrific what occurred.
And look at these dogs. They are going in to help with canine therapy for folks in the community as well as first responders. The team is headed there this weekend and plans to stay until next Friday. Sometimes just a dog is not just man's best friend, but all of our best friend. All right, Channel 9's Ashley Edlin continues our team coverage, Martha, on the growing demand for gun control. And Ashley just heard from a Central Florida lawmaker about the changes that he wants to see. And what did he have to say, Ashley?
Well, Senator Bracey inside just a few minutes ago highlighted a 3-point plan. Now, he says those 3 points are simple. He says it's not going to completely solve the solution, but he says it is a small step in the right direction.
A Central Florida county is monitoring one of its essential resources coming up, how it's keeping track of its water supply. Plus,
we're in a residential area, and you can't drive that way.
And folks in this Seminole County neighborhood still very concerned tonight in the wake of that deadly hit-and-run crash this week. What deputies are now going to do to keep dangerous drivers off this road. Tom.
Got a big rainmaker on the way with our tropical soon-to-be Alex storm, mainly to the south, but we're also going to bring in some pretty good downpours in parts of our local Central Florida area. I'm timing out these changes just ahead.
Every morning, our team makes the most of your time while preparing you for the entire day ahead. I'm Channel 9's Kirsten Delgado.
And I'm Christian Bruick. With weather and traffic together every 10 minutes, you'll be ready before you walk out the door.
I'm using the latest information to give you weather in a minute and hour-by-hour forecast and details on how to dress your kids.
Plus, alternate routes around current trouble spots and the roads to avoid that day.
Our team will have you ready to go.
Channel 9 Eyewitness News this morning, live weekdays starting at 4:30 a.m.
Doppler 9 radar is driven by Toyota of Orlando and Toyota of Claremont.
State troopers are still trying to nail down who was behind the wheel of an SUV that killed a man who was simply walking his dog.
It's such a shame, Martha. We showed you this scene on Eagle Circle near East Lake Drive in Castleberry, and that's where investigators say the driver hit the man Wednesday night before taking off. FHP says it found the SUV abandoned about a mile away. Channel 9 Seminole County reporter Jeff Lefkulich has the latest on what they're doing regarding a traffic study on Eagle Road. Today, NASA Administrator Bill Nelson gave out thousands of learning lunchboxes to food banks here in Orlando.
NASA's new initiative is focusing on educating children and their families about NASA's upcoming Artemis missions. This also includes landing the first woman and person of color on the moon. This initiative will also bring together other science centers and museums to highlight the importance of STEM research.
And right now, crews at the Kennedy Space Center are working hard preparing for Monday's rollout of NASA's Mega Moon rocket. Yesterday, crews evened out the specialized rock area on the slope to the launch pad to try to ensure a smoother ride for NASA's SLS rocket and Orion spacecraft. Crews will carry out a wet dress rehearsal later this month before setting an official launch date for NASA's uncrewed mission around the moon. We are looking so forward to that. And you know, they use rock there as they climb up, and the rock crushes under the tracks of that hauler, and that provides some cushioning. So that's why they do it. Plus, the asphalt doesn't melt underneath it.
Now we know.
Trivia.
And we need to know what's going on in the weather department with Tom Terry, because we have that system that's out there that you are watching closely.
Yeah, I think we'll have Alex finally have a real name for this storm, maybe as early as 5 o'clock, even though we don't have an aircraft in the vicinity right now to give us a better structure of the winds. But either way, it's a little bit breezy. We've got a south wind. The flags are blowing from right to left across your TV screen. 85 degrees up in Daytona. We're cooler in Orlando, and the wind's fairly steady out of the south across the state around the eastern side of this tropical, potential tropical cyclone. Right now, we've had some wind gusts of 38 miles an hour down in Key West. The rest of the state, though, is not showing any wind gusts right now, but we do have a tropical storm warning for our southern counties, including Brevard, Osceola, Polk County. I think the worst will be south, but we will be monitoring the northern edges of this likely tropical storm as it moves by tomorrow. Right now, a couple of isolated downpours to the north. We've had a little brushing of showers through metro Orlando. You can see this steady shield of light rain that continues to creep slowly north. So this area will be likely pretty wet tonight. This is not a heavy rain, though, just a steady rain. Heavier downpours are still to the south around and just on the east side of this low. And again, at the top of the newscast, I showed you this whole ball of heavy wind and rain. I think that's kind of where our center is going to be locating now. It is on the move, and it's going to keep working toward this southwest coast of Florida during the early part of the day tomorrow, crossing by during the afternoon. But as you can see, all the rain is way out ahead of the main low, so the rain is already starting to show up. 7-day forecast, 70% rain coverage tomorrow, but nearly 100% rain coverage for our southern half, if you will. For Sunday, the system kicks out. We will still see some scattered afternoon storms, and then the heat of summer just around the corner. We'll take you county by county with more local impacts when I see you again. Greg?
And I know you'll be with us throughout the day, and then your team will study this storm and be with us throughout the weekend as well. Thank you, Tom. Coming up, a new study found a 25% price jump for Orange County renters.
How much did your rent go up by? Like about $400, I believe.
That's a month. Coming up, the cost-saving options up for discussion now, though. Then next, what you can do to save money on your home insurance, Martha.
And Greg, all new at 5. There's a fight over COVID funding on Capitol Hill, while the White House says we may not be prepared if we see a huge spike in cases.
Common issue right now, Floridians really feeling the shock of sky-high home insurance premiums if they haven't been canceled or dropped altogether. It is a growing problem that state lawmakers discussed during a special session last month. Channel 9 consumer advisor Clark Howard is here to explain how you can bring your premium back down. All right, Clark.
Today marks 100 days since Russian forces invaded Ukraine. Still ahead at 4, the challenges for Ukrainian troops trying to drive Russia out of their country.
And why economists remain concerned despite a near-record low unemployment rate. Plus,
the water is very critical to every community.
What 3 local cities want to know so they can protect the water you drink. Stay with us.
Every morning, our team makes the most of your time while preparing you for your entire day ahead. I'm Channel 9's Kirsten Delgado.
And I'm Christian Bruig. Get straightforward and accurate coverage of the big stories from overnight and live coverage of breaking news happening right now.
Plan ahead for changing weather and road conditions with an hour-by-hour forecast.
Plus, alternate routes around current trouble spots and the roads to avoid that day.
Our team will have you ready to go.
Channel 9 Eyewitness News this morning, live weekdays starting at 4:30 a.m.
This is Channel 9 Eyewitness News at 4. Coverage you can count on.
close to 1,000 people move to Florida every single day. And all of those new people can put a strain on our resources.
Water, as you know, is very, very essential to all forms of life.
Next at 4:30, what 3 Central Florida cities are doing to try to protect their water supply. Leaders in Volusia County are commissioning a water study, in fact, to see the potential impact over these next 20 years with all of this growth. Good afternoon. I'm Greg Warmith.
And I'm Martha Sagowski. Other governments are joining this effort. Leaders in the western cities of Deltona, DeLand, and Orange City are also calling for the study. Channel 9 Volusia County reporter Mike Springer is live in DeLand. And Mike, the city is spearheading this joint effort.
When I talked to the mayor here today, too, Martha, he says the study's not only going to be looking at that projected water use, but also trying to come up with ways to meet the need as this area continues to grow.
The U.S. Department of Labor released its May jobs report today, and it shows the strong hiring trend across the country isn't over. Now, the report shows the country added a solid 390,000 jobs last month alone. The unemployment rate remained near record lows as well. But it's not all great news. This afternoon, there are still concerns about that possible recession. Got an update now on the baby formula shortage. The FDA says some formula being shipped here from Germany should actually be on store shelves over these next 2 months. In an announcement Thursday, Nestle now is supplying 2 types of its general baby formulas here. There will be about 249,000 cans available in some stores and on Gerber.com soon.
Well, mothers are donating their own breast milk to meet the demand across the country. A local milk bank is answering nonstop calls from families in need of those donations. But nationwide, milk banks are also seeing a surge in women giving away their milk. This Navy pilot and mother says the baby formula shortage inspired her to step up. The war in Ukraine is now in its 100th day. Russia is advancing in the east with troops threatening to take a key city. Those troops control about 1/5 of the country. The latest numbers from the United Nations show more than 4,100 civilians have been killed in the months since Russia invaded Ukraine. Nearly 5,000 have been hurt. These are only the confirmed deaths and injuries. The UN actually believes that the count is significantly higher. ABC's Ian Pannell shows us the support heading to Ukraine right now. Ukrainian leaders say the fighting has displaced an estimated 12 million people. Around 5 million people have left the country altogether.
A family is pleading with lawmakers tonight, Martha.
Yeah, Greg, they're asking Congress to change a law preventing a mother who deported herself to Mexico from returning to the U.S. Cecilia Gonzalez Carmona self-deported to Mexico in 2018 because of bad legal advice. They later learned that the law bans her from a minimum of 10 years before she can even apply for the re-entry process. Doctors found a tumor on her son's kidney shortly after his mom left.
Really hard for me not to be there.
Birthdays,
His appointments, when he go to the doctor.
The boy is now doing well. Lawmakers introduced a bill in the House that gives the Department of Justice the ability to exercise discretion in certain immigration cases. The Senate hasn't taken up the measure. Glad that little boy is doing better, Greg.
That's good news. The UCF quarterback who led the Knights to that perfect season and national championship says playing professionally isn't realistic. Coming up, the path ahead for former football star Mackenzie Milton. Plus,
I think it's an emergency and we need help ASAP.
What's keeping a Central Florida county from controlling the rising cost of rent, Tom?
Well, we do have tropical storm conditions on the way for mainly South Florida. This is 9 o'clock. You can see some rain and some occasional squalls coming in, especially south of downtown Orlando as this low is on the move. I just got the new 5 o'clock advisory. No name yet, Greg, but I'm updating the track.
All right, up one day, down the next. Stocks down on Wall Street today. Here's a look at the final numbers on this Friday.
Now we are experiencing inflation. The gas prices are going up. Things are more expensive.
The housing crisis is a real thing. These are the things that are going to last for generations.
And I think at Eyewitness News, we do a really good job of what's new, what's happening now, and what's next.
When we have a big story or a big weather event, we take the time. We take the time to break it down. We don't rush through details.
That vision to look forward and say, hey, this is how it's going to impact you, your wallet, your family, that's our job.
New right now for Orange County Mayor Jerry Deming says there's not much the county can do to tackle the rising cost of rent. Under Florida law, rent control is illegal unless leaders declare a housing emergency. Channel 9's Christy Turner read through new research showing the local rental market doesn't meet the criteria. Florida drivers are dealing with another record at the gas pump. Check this out. The new average in Florida is $4.73. That's up 2 cents from yesterday. The average cost of gas is a few cents higher in most of Central Florida, Greg.
All right, Martha. UCF's former star quarterback Mackenzie Milton is retiring from football as a player. Of course, Milton charged onto the field in 2017, leading the UCF team through an undefeated season. The next year, he suffered a devastating knee injury, and while fighting for a second perfect season, doctors nearly had to amputate his leg. Milton returned in this footage here and returned to the field not for UCF, but for Florida State in his grad transfer season. He posted on social media last night that playing in the NFL isn't realistic anymore, and his new focus is a good one on being a father.
That's important.
Yeah.
And I work with two of the best fathers around. You guys are married with a whole bunch of kids.
Yep.
That's right. And I think our day's coming up here, Greg.
It is.
It is.
Father's Day. We got to get past this weekend, though. We do have rain coming. Martha, you were asking the triplets wanted to do a lemonade stand tonight.
Yes, they texted Uncle Tom and said, please ask him if we can do it because we don't want it to rain if we get all of our stuff out there.
Well, mainly just a few sprinkles. We're pretty quiet right now, including over at Daytona Beach, where we have a south wind coming in and relatively tranquil conditions. We'll have much more rough surf coming in by tomorrow, especially in the afternoon when the winds switch on shore coming out the ocean. Winds out of the south are 85 degrees right now. Eye on the tropics. Still have a pretty good shield of light to moderate rain coming in across our southern zones. That's going to keep just kind of working up here to the north. We've had a couple of heavier downpours, but generally this is going to be the shield of rain from Sebring. It's all a steady shield of showers now coming in across from Melbourne, Palm Bay. It's going to rain all night tonight and for most of the morning tomorrow as well. So we still have a soon-to-be Alex, a potential tropical cyclone. It's still not very well organized. Here's the low. You can see how all the rain's over here. If this rain were over the top, then we would have a much more organized system. We don't, and that's okay. It is speeding up now, northeast at 7 miles an hour, so it's going to increase its speed as it comes toward southwest Florida by late morning tomorrow. And here again is the center, and all the rain's on the east side. So even as the track is headed here, the rain will precede the low. And this is the track roughly across south of Fort Myers, coming throughout the afternoon off near Fort Pierce, and then on its way into the open Atlantic and long gone by Sunday. 7-day forecast. Weekend always in view. We'll be watching our tropical storm. Wannabe. It's still not a storm yet, but it may still develop a name before reaching the coast. Rain chance likely mainly southeastern areas tomorrow. Monday, Tuesday next week, back to good old-fashioned hot, humid. Martha?
All right, Tom, thanks. More and more smash and grab thieves are targeting local stores. Coming up at 5, what's behind the increase and how GPS is being used to help track down the bad guys? And what health experts say Congress is doing wrong when it comes to making sure local governments are prepared to fight outbreaks like COVID-19.
Doppler 9 Radar is driven by Toyota of Orlando and Toyota of Claremont.
Paying for a massage often costs more than you'd like. Here's Lisa Robertson with an affordable alternative on local steals and deals.
It is a sketch Orlando police want you to see. Coming up, the man police want off the streets after an attack on a woman at a local park.
Plus, how to save money while prices on gas and food are sky high. Coming up, an expert weighs in on how to still save for a rainy day.
Like today's rainy day, maybe. And next, how a battle over vaccine mandates between Special Olympics and Governor Ron DeSantis was just settled shortly before the games start this weekend.